There's something in the way it feels like splinters in my brain. There's something in the way it feels like splinters in my brain.
What's up guys, it's Jake Lewis and we're back with another mixing video. Today we're gonna dive into your vocals, why they're muddy, how you can prevent that from happening, and how to fix it once it's already too late and it's recorded. To prevent recording a muddy vocal in the first place, you don't wanna be too close to the mic. So there's this thing called proximity effect. Essentially, the closer you are to a microphone, the more low end it'll pick up in your voice. The further away, the less low end, then you also capture more of the room as well. So there's a little bit of a trade-off there. But literally just standing back like 6 inches will change the overall tone of a vocal. So you want to use that to your advantage and, do a test recording, be like, all right, does this sound good? Is there a little bit too much low end? Do I even want more? Do I want to get more intimate? Maybe I get closer to the mic. If there's too much low end, all right, let me back off like 3 to 4 inches and see how that sounds and just adjust from there. So that's the first thing you want to do. That's super important, proximity effect. Now, if you're already too far and you've already recorded the vocal and it's like, all right, we can't go back and cut it again. I've noticed, over the years that between like 180 and maybe like 220 hertz is a zone where there's a lot of mud that comes into play. Another zone is like maybe around 400 to 450. That's where some boxiness can come in. And then up around 500 to 600 can also be problem areas where it's like, it's kind of boxy, but it's just like, it's like a honky tone that you don't really like. So like those are the first places I fish for. So for example, on this vocal, one of the first things I did was pull up this SSL. I literally just took the low shelf, put it at like 320 hertz and just shaved off like 6 dB. Off rip, that did a lot. And sometimes that's like really all you need. A lot of people like overthink it. I used to overthink it a lot where I'd be like, oh man, I gotta find the one little frequency with a bell, but like it didn't really solve it. So then I had to put in like 20 bells, you know what I'm saying? To fish out each frequency, all you really need is like a low shelf. So let's see what it's doing.
There's something in the way it feels like splinters in my...
Completely brightened it up, and you'll even see I notched out, 200 hertz, big zone, took out 5 dB. I'm taking out a lot here. So you'll notice I didn't even add top end, and taking out the low end will make it be perceived to be brighter. Maybe your first instinct there is to add a high shelf and just add a bunch of gain to the top end. I say take things out first and then add stuff after once you get it to like a pretty good spot. You'll even see in the VMR here, I took out 2 dB at 400 hertz with the 550B emulation.
Then in the way it feels like splinters. Something in the way it feels like splinters.
Clears up a little bit of that congestion in the lower end. Another thing, rely on a high pass. Let a high pass do some lifting. You really don't need much in a vocal below like 80 hertz.
Something in the way it feels like splinters in my brain.
Tightened it up just a little bit, and that's just using static EQs. Now we can really get into like dynamic EQs and multi-band compressors. That's where you can get a lot of control while not losing out on all the low end, because maybe you do want that intimate feeling, that warm feeling of the vocal, but you don't want to take it all out statically to where it feels dead and you take the life out of it. That's where dynamic EQs and multi-band compressors can keep that character of that low end, but preventing it from, being too overbearing. You'll see right here, I got the filter starting at like 600 hertz, 700 hertz, and everything below that is getting ducked down when it crosses a certain threshold. Let's see what it's doing.
Something in the way it feels like splinters in my brain.
That adds like a very slight bit of control, So generally with a multi-band compressor, what I'm doing is a fast attack and then I'm adjusting the release to taste. Like a faster release will allow the low end to bounce back faster because the release is fast. So that low end will be perceived as being louder, as if you did like a slower release. So the low end kind of is controlled down here, you know what I'm saying? So it'll be perceived to be quieter. You can effectively EQ in a roundabout way with the release knob. And the same thing goes with the attack knob on the multi-band compressor, which is actually a trick I got from Tony Maserati on one of his Mix with the Masters videos. He's saying if you have a slower attack and you let that initial hit of the low end come through and then you immediately take it away, the ear still perceives it as like coming through. So you still perceive that low end, but it's controlled right after that. So you can really finesse the control that way with attack and release. Now, something that's super similar to the multi-band compression is dynamic EQing. So let's say, for example,
in the way it feels like.
And I really want to control this range, but I don't want to just like take it away like this. What you can do is just dynamically adjust it.
Something in the way, something in the way it feels like. splinters.
See, now that controlled it, and you still feel the low end of his voice. It's just not poking out and becoming too overbearing. So definitely don't sleep on the Pro Q in its dynamic EQing sections, because it comes in super clutch. Just finding, you know, certain notes that'll hit.
There's something in the way.
Let's say, for example, on something, the note is really hitting like right here, like 160 hertz. Let's say for some reason, I only dislike that when it happens there. What you can do is, you know, add a notch here, add a bell, and then just dynamically adjust this. So it'll only really attack it when the artist hits that note.
Something in the way, it feels like splinters in my...
So you can really fine tune things with dynamic EQs. Same with the multiband compressors. Typically I'll use the dynamic EQs to be more like specific in what I want to do. And I'll use the multiband compressors for broader strokes. These 3 to 4 tricks, you could use them in tandem. You can use them separately, just whatever gets the job done. If the vocal's too muddy, record a little further away. Maybe that'll help. If not, use like a Pro Q dynamically to get some of that mud out. Use a multi-band compressor, literally just use a static low shelf EQ, get all the mud out of there. And that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment. I will respond to everyone as always. I appreciate your time. I'm out of here. Deuces.